Hey best friend, what's up with your friend ass? Welcome back to my channel for those of you that are my glamazons, and if you're new here, what's up and welcome. I hope that you enjoy your stay and I hope that you decide to stay for the long run, okay? Tappity tap tap tap. Welcome back you guys to story time. Today I have a pretty funny story for you guys that was actually a little bit awkward. Stories like this is the reason why I say that Denver is actually a small city and like you just run into everyone. Now this story is definitely for my mamas out there, okay? Because a lot of you guys know about the mom life, going on field trips and stuff, so that's the basis of this story. So I hope you guys enjoy. Grab your wine, grab your snacks, everything you need. Now before we get into this video, I just want to give a special shout out to my homies Verb Energy. Y'all, I need to tell you, if you are a coffee addict and you are somebody that cannot function in your life without caffeine, exponential amounts of caffeine, such as myself, whether it's because you're a mom, you work a ton of hours, you're a student, whatever the case may be, a lot of times drinking a full cup of coffee isn't always feasible. Now, I know it isn't for me personally. I end up having to reheat my coffee like 4 or 5 times throughout the day, girl. Verb Energy bars are gonna save the day, especially if you're a mom, all right? Let me explain. So in these small little compact bars, first of all, the minute that you open it, it smells of coffee. These bars are actually infused with organic green tea, you guys. So it allows these bars to have as much caffeine as one espresso. But instead of having a crash later, you just feel rejuvenated. I didn't feel any jitters or anxiety or any of those bad symptoms that come with me drinking too much coffee. This bar is a great alternative for your second or third cup of coffee throughout the day, because we all know that we're trying to cut back, okay? Each bar is low in sugar, 90 calories, gluten-free, dairy-free, and vegan for those of you guys that have any dietary restrictions. They're really simple for me to just pop into my purse, especially when I'm heading out the door, trying to get my kids together, trying to run after them, and between work and my children and just everyday life, Verb Energy bars are something that really keep me revitalized and energetic without having to crash later and without having to babysit and chase after my coffee cup all day. Verb Energy bars come in 6 different flavors. You know what I love about these bars, you guys? I don't know about you, but I don't really like crunchy, hard granola bars that are really difficult to eat. These are so nice and they have the perfect texture. They're not too hard, they're not too crunchy, and they're not too mushy either. If you guys are looking for another way to get your caffeine in with organic green tea rather than your second or third cup of coffee, definitely check out Verb Energy bars. You can use the link down below. The first 1,000 people that sign up will get a free trial pack with 4 different flavors for only 95 cents. You just pay for shipping. So definitely take advantage of that, and you know, of course, check into Verb Energy, see how you like them, and let me know your thoughts down below. Going on to pick out my glamazon shot of the day. You already know what's up. Before every one of my story times, I love giving one of you guys a shout out. So if you want your chance to be one of my glamazon shots of the day, just follow me on Instagram or Twitter. I do toggle between the two. Use your hashtag glamazon shot and of course tag your girl. But today's beautiful glamazon shot, I want to give a shout out to my girl. You can find her at Reina_50_Trejo Maldonado. I know that seems long, but it's super easy to find her. You're absolutely stunning. Your eyes are gorgeous. Girl, thank you so much. I just love seeing y'all's face, and like the fact that y'all even know who I am and that y'all watch my videos still blows my fucking mind. Really appreciate all of y'all's love and support. You guys know that I would not be here without you. I could not do this without you, girl. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Now let's get into this awkward ass story time about what happens at field trips sometimes, okay? Are you guys interested? This was back in the day when my little Julian, we used to be in elementary school. Now most of you guys know that he is 13 years old now. Oh my god, he's a freaking teenager. Like, I blinked and he's a teenager. But this story takes place when he was in elementary school. I tried to be as involved as I could be with Julian, like his extracurriculars and like anything that was going on at school. And one day came around and he, you know, came to our house and I was making dinner. I was in the kitchen and he came up to me and asked me if I could go on his field trip with him that coming week. Of course, I was like, you know, did you ask your mom? And he was like, yeah, she can't make it. And I said, okay, did you ask your dad? And he said, yeah, he can't make it. Like, he has to work. And I was like, okay. So like, you know, I made sure that he asked everyone else, you know, just to make sure that I wasn't taking anybody's place, you know what I mean? And I was so honored and touched that he was even asking me to go on his field trip, because, you know, you never know when that switch comes where kids think they're too cool to even be around you, right? So immediately, without question, I was like, yes, I'm going. Like, I have no problem calling into work. Like, this is just so important, and it just meant a lot to me. So now, before this field trip happens, once he asked me, I had to contact his school and, you know, let them know that I was interested in being a chaperone for one of the field trips, right? Have you fill out this questionnaire, and it's, you know, your personal information, and they actually do a background check on you to make sure that you're not, like, you know, crazy and dealing with the kids. I ended up filling out that form, and they told me that because this field trip was in the next few days, that the background check would not fully come back immediately, but at least they had my personal information. So now, if the background check didn't come back by the time the field trip came, then I wouldn't be allowed to ride on the bus to the field trip. I would have to provide my own transportation, but I could still go, which I found really weird, because I was like, wait a minute, so like people that have not passed this background check, you're still like allowing them around the kids if they provide their own transportation? The heck? And I told Julian's teacher and all that, right? So finally, fast forward, the day of the field trip comes around, and Julian's super excited. I packed myself and him a lunch, and, you know, I drive him to school, and I go inside with him, and, you know, I knew his teacher pretty well. Me and this other mom, and we'll call her Lisa, okay? And I had met Lisa before at some of Julian's other events from school, and so she was like, hey girl, I didn't know you were coming on this field trip. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm so excited. And she was like, yeah, you know, we're gonna be going to this Dinosaur Ridge. I think that's what it's called, Dinosaur Ridge or something dinosaurs, right? So it's kind of near in the mountains. And she was like, yeah, you know, it's kind of a drive, right? So she and I are, you know, just chatting up a little bit, and while we're talking, all of a sudden, the door of the classroom opens, and this kid walks in, and I recognized him, and he was Julian's friend, and I'm not going to say his name because he's just a kid, but I knew his little ass, okay? So he walks in, and then his dad walks in, and he comes into the classroom, and immediately, you know, he looks to the back of the class and sees all of us moms, you know, back there, and parents back there. So his son goes to sit down with the kids, and he walks to the back of the classroom. Anyways, girl, me and Lisa keep talking, and we're just talking about whatever, and she starts updating me on her life. She was a very open person, okay? And then she got them all lined up, and then we all made our way to the front of the school to load on the buses, right? Now, on our way to the front, Lisa told me that she wasn't going to be riding the bus. She was like, I don't really like riding the bus. Like, it is just too much, too loud. I'm going to be driving my own car. So she just like mentioned that. For me personally, I was kind of excited to go on the bus. I just like wanted to, and like Julian had mentioned riding on the bus with me. So I was like, you know, my kid is really excited, so I want to get on the bus. And the teacher has us line up on the curb, and there are multiple buses out there. And she looked at me and she was like, hey, Nikki, she was like, can I talk to you for a second? And I was like, yeah. So I go over to her, and she was like, hey, like, this is not even a weird thing at all. She was like, it does take a while for the background checks to come back. She was like, and we haven't gotten yours back. She was like, so our policy is you can't ride the bus, but you can totally drive your own way, like to the destination, and then you meet us there. Granted, it had been like maybe a day or two. Like, it was like a Wednesday field trip, and I had turned in the form on Monday, you know what I mean? And then Lisa was like, oh, you know, you can't get on the bus. And I was like, nah. And she was like, well, do you want to just ride with me? And I was like, yeah, you know, why not? She was just like one of those really young moms, and, you know, she had a pair of heels in her front seat, like sold out on her cup holders, and she wasn't messy, but like she was a young mom. So I get in her car, and, you know, everything was really chill. And so we kind of wait there for a little bit. The buses take off, and then we take off right after them. And we're like on the highway, and we're just talking about everything. And she has a baby dad. Her and her baby dad weren't together. And she has a daughter who was Julian's friend. It was funny because she was like, you know, my daughter, you know, told me about you. And then she was like, and then I kind of like became obsessed with your videos. And it was just like one of those moments where I was like, oh my God, like this is so awkward, you know? So she ends up, you know, talking to to me more about her situation with like her baby dad and the fact that he was like dating some other girl and like all the shit that comes along with that, and her daughter all up in the middle. But her and her baby dad were really able to keep it amicable, which I was really impressed by. And she was like, yeah, you know, I just be putting up with his shit, but he puts up with mine too. And like, you know, we're still friends and we just love our daughter. And she was a really, really good mom. We get out of the car, we cross the street, we go meet up with the kids. And, you know, all the kids are hype. It is so hot. Start going on this guided tour, right? So they have this guy that's taking us around and showing us some fossils and some stuff in the mountains and, you know, teaching us dinosaur shit. And the kids are all in the front and I'm taking pictures or whatever. We were in this outdoor area and it was like the side of a mountain, and this guide, you know, he's pointing at the mountain and there's this rope so you can't climb up it, you know? So he's right by this rope. The kids are right in front of him and he's talking about fossils or whatever. Lisa was on the right of me, and to the left of me, like, there was nobody there. It was just me and her, like, in this spot. So I looked down at my phone and all of a sudden I felt a person that took the place on my left side, and I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, you know, it's just another parent. And I was doing something on my phone, and 2 or 3 minutes had passed. And then I got off my phone, I stuck it in my pocket, and I looked up, I see Julian. We're about to move on to the next exhibit, and all of a sudden, Julian's little friend comes running my direction. Like, he is literally running right toward, like, at a diagonal, he's running right towards me, and, like, it almost seemed like fucking full speed, bitch. This kid was hyped up on sugar all the time, I swear on everything. So he, like, the minute that the guide was done talking, he just, like, books it. Who you running up on like that, you know? You guys, he does that thing where he like runs full speed and then he like just stops and like slams his feet, you know what I mean? Ended up stopping literally right in front of me, but he's not looking at me. He's looking right next to me. And I was like, what the fuck? So I look, and his daddy was standing right next to me the entire time. I had no idea. I had no clue. So he had come up to talk to his dad. He starts whining to his dad. Dad, it's really hot outside. Like, it's really hot outside. So, like, you know, he starts whining. Julian and his best friend come up to me and they're like, hey, you know, it's about to be lunchtime. And Julian was like, Mom, do you have my lunch? And I was like, yeah, baby, I got it. You know, y'all go ahead. I told Julian to just go ahead in front of me. You know how I usually do, because these kids are young and can run. But I was like, go ahead and go find us a table. Go find us a spot. And he was like, okay. So he runs off with his best friend and I'm with Lisa. So we're walking, and then all of a sudden Lisa's daughter runs up to her and she's like, Mom, do you have my lunch? And straight up Lisa was like, oh shit. And I was like, the fuck? And she was like, I left your lunch in the car. Like, come on, let's go get it. And she was just like, fuck, you know, like, God damn it. So she just stomps off, just cussing. Her daughter's right next to her, and they go to her car to go get her daughter's lunch. So I'm just kind of like there, and I'm like, I'm not going to fucking follow you back to your car. It's between you and your daughter. I'll meet you over there. So I just end up walking by myself, and I get on my phone. I text David back. I do whatever. And I end up going around this little building to where these benches are, and that's where they're letting us have lunch. I ended up just like talking to the kids. They were just so funny and smart and just comical and creative, and it was just a really good time. So we start laughing or whatever, and I swear I blinked and lunchtime was over, and we had to finish the rest of the field trip and then make our way back to the schools. After lunch, the guide takes us around to another side of the building, and over there were like different workstations where the kids could learn something new about fossils and dinosaurs and, like, you know, digging up bones and stuff. So like there was a spot where you could mine through like this bed of water and look for like bone fragments, and it was almost like mining for gold but with bones. And then there was another one where it's like a sandbox and you dig out bones and, you know, stuff like that. The parents are just there to kind of make sure that nobody hurts themselves, but we weren't really given a task. There was nothing for us to pay attention to. Now, for anybody that knows me, y'all know that like I kind of eat slow. So I had finished my sandwich, but I had not finished my chips yet. So I ended up taking my chips. I'm not about to throw them shits away. And I followed them around to this workstation area. Julian takes off with his best friend. They start doing whatever. And there's like this little pit almost. It almost looks like a fire pit that's obviously not lit. And there's like these cement sitting stones around it. So I walked over there and I sat down and I enjoyed the rest of my chips, bitch. And I'm sitting there just snacking, right? And just the kids are playing, everything's all good. I hear footsteps approaching and somebody literally sits right next to me. And I look up and it is Tony. So he sits down next to me and, you know, he starts with the normal questions. Whose mom are you? That type of shit. And so he was like, oh, you know, which one is your kid? Is it Julian? And he had known Julian. And so he was like, are you Julian's mom? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm his stepmom. And he was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. In that moment, he knew because I said that I was Julian's stepmom, which means what? That I'm with his daddy. Yes? Okay, great. All right. So start talking about Julian and how great of a kid he is and this and that. And then he starts shifting the conversation to him and his son. And I had known his son too from other shit going on at the school. And to be honest, you guys, his son was so bad. He was not well behaved at all. And he would always give the teachers problems. Like, he was even the one that would like hit teachers and like, just start drama in the class, and he would pick on other kids, and he used to try to pick on Julian, and he was just not a nice kid. So honestly, low-key, during this conversation, I was just kind of wanting to get a read off of this dude, like, why is your kid like this? Like, your kid has kind of been a troublemaker. This is what he tells me. He says that his son is his only child and that he had his kid with his current wife. And he said it just like that. My current wife. Like, he had other types of wives, but this was his current one. You're on fucking field trips with other parents. Sometimes other parents overshare a lot. And you're in the position where you're like, damn, bitch, like, can you not tell me all your business? And this was one of those moments. Yeah, we're kind of like taking a break right now, but we're, working together, obviously, for our son, which is why I'm here, because it wasn't her turn. There's no love lost there. Like, we're still friends and everything, but like, we just kind of need a moment apart because we're just not really getting along right now. And to be completely honest with you, she's been kind of like getting on my nerves. And, this is why my son has an attitude and behavior problem, it's because of her. He starts spilling all the tea on his current wife or whatever, and I'm sitting there with my bag of chips like, oh wow, okay, hey girl, Julian, be careful. Yep. I remember Julian had come over, and I think that he saw, now I was sitting with other parents, all the other parents were there by this point, but it was because this man was right next to me. Julian came by like once or twice asking for something or another, and he stopped the conversation for a second, and then Julian went to play. Then Tony started talking again, and this time he started talking about career, and he was like, what do you do for a living? And at the time, I still had my full-time job. I was doing YouTube still, but like I was definitely working, and so I kept it very vague. And then he said, oh that's cool, well, I'm a bartender. Okay, kids. And when teachers start doing that, they're rounding up all the kids because we're about to leave. Teacher does that, and he kind of like leans over because she's yelling, hey, if you don't mind me asking, he was like, you have any plans this weekend? I know my boyfriend wanted to take me to go see this movie, but we haven't decided yet. Why? Do you think it stopped him? He didn't even bat an eye. Okay, well, don't forget that I'm a bartender. So if you ever want to come by my bar, you can get some free drinks on me. At this point, you guys, Julian came right next to me, and he was like, Mom, are you ready to go? And I was like, yes. And so I literally looked down at him like, thank you so much. So I get up and I follow Julian, and we, go to the buses. I see him get on the bus, and then I find Lisa, and we ride back to the school together, right? And Lisa stops talking about whatever she was talking about. I think she was talking about her mans at the time or something. And then she was like, speaking of dudes, she was like, what was up with old boy, like, wanting to be next to you this entire fucking day? And I was like, you saw that too? And she was like, yeah, bitch, from this morning onward. Like, and then I look over, and he's sitting next to you out there outside. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, he's married, right? And I was like, I'm married, right? And I like, okay, I wasn't married to David just yet, but I had been with him for years already. So like anytime anybody ever asked, I was like, yes, I'm married. Like, I might as well be married. Like, I'm hella in a relationship, okay? She was like, yeah, but you know these dudes don't care about that shit. And I was like, what? She was like, do you know how many times I've been hit on by somebody's daddy at one of these field trips? And I was like, no. She was like, bitch, I have dated one of them. But anyway, she was spilling all the tea about like how when some of these dads be coming to field trips, they be hitting on the moms. And like, I was like, wait, what? She was like, yeah, these dudes are messy as fuck around here. Like, these dads, like, they are on a whole other level of messy. And I was like, oh my God. She was like, so bitch, don't even fall for it. And I was like, I wasn't. Trust. You ain't gotta convince me. Thank you. So we get back to the school. Everything's normal. End of the day comes. Okay. I end up going home. I tell David every fucking thing. I tell him everything because I never want anything to be misconstrued. I never want him to be like, oh, a conversation happened and you never fucking told me. Like, why? That's a little sus. So I tell him literally everything. Okay. And I feel guilty if I don't. David is not at all the jealous type, and he was like, oh, okay. He was like, well, I'm glad you had a good time, babe. And I was like, yeah, you know, it's fun. You know, I had a good time with Julian or whatever. So he didn't really make a big deal out of it, and it really wasn't a big deal. Maybe he was being overly friendly, but it only goes as far as I allow it to, and like it ain't going no fucking where, right? Fast forward, and we had parent-teacher conference, and I don't know how much time this was, but it wasn't too much time. And so David and I went to the school to go meet with Julian's teachers, and so during that time, you know, you have a bunch of parents in the hallway, and you're like waiting for your time slot per teacher. So we're kind of like in the hallway outside of one of Julian's teacher's rooms, and I see, oh boy, Tony coming down the hallway. So immediately, like, I, you know, tapped David, and I was like, oh my God, look, that's what's his face's dad. That's the one. And so David like looks up and he was like, oh, and he was like, wait, that dude right there? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, with his like 6'3" wife? And I was like, what? And so I look up, y'all. Hold up, bitch. He was walking down the hallway, and he was like in front, and he had his arm like this, and behind him was this really tall blonde chick, okay? Like hella tall. He looked so stoic. He looked so serious. He had her by the hand, and like they walk through the hallway. They don't even look at anybody. And he looked like a completely different person than he did while we were at this field trip, right? Unexpected, and I had like this vision of what his wife looked like in my head, and it was definitely not what I expected. So we do parent-teacher conferences. Everything is normal, right? Now fast forward, and it wasn't long after this because it was still like very fresh, and I think it was that weekend I end up going to Chili's to meet one of my best friends, and we used to go there for like happy hour, you know, just to shoot the shit. We would stay there for like 3-4 hours at a time or whatever. Every time I go out with her, I have such a good time. And so we're in this booth, we're having a girls' night, and you know, we'll order our food, we order our margaritas, everything's good. And where our booth is, we're like on the side where the bar is, but they still have booths over there, so that's where we were sitting. And I kind of like looked up, and it was just for a brief second, and I saw the bartender at the bar next to us, and I looked at his face, and it was fucking Tony. It was Tony. Okay, so he didn't see me at first. When I saw him, he was like looking down, making a drink, and I saw him, and I was like, I immediately do this. So, you know, I'm doing like one of these moves, and of course my friend was like, bitch, what? Bitch, what happened? Who we hiding from? And I was like, nothing. I was like, don't make a big deal. I was like, shut the fuck up. I ended up telling her everything, and I was like, you know, this dude at the field trip or whatever. And she was like, oh, he's one of them, and he's got a wife. Like, she really despised that. I was like, I just find it funny. Like, and he told me that if I ever wanted to like party or whatever to get a hold of him, he'd make sure I got free drinks. I mentioned free drinks, and my friend said, wait, hold up. He said he'd give you what? Stop it right now. On purpose. Okay, these are the type of fucking friends I have. Nikki, stop. Stop. Nikki. She starts saying my name over and over and over, hella loud. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. And she was like, Nikki. Tony ends up looking up from his task, and he sees me, and I see him, and I was like, ha. Great. Biggest smile comes on his face. I try to mind my business, and 2 minutes later, This boy comes to our fucking table, okay? And he starts talking to the both of us. Funny seeing you here. And I was like, yeah, funny seeing you here at my local Chili's. I had no idea. And he was like, can I get you girls like another round of drinks? And of course, my friend being all ratchet, she was like, on you? Shut the hell yeah, of course, you already know it's on me. And so she was like, hey. So, you know, we have our free drinks. Then we have another round of free drinks. And we're just having a good time. Things almost got messy because about an hour passed. And, you know, we had about 2 more free drinks from Tony. And my crazy ass friend was about to ask for a third. Now, usually they have like a 2-drink limit, but he was just letting us have drinks, you know? She's like kind of trying to wave, you know, get his attention, but not be loud, you know? She was like, you know, but he just seemed really preoccupied and really busy. And I was like, girl, whatever, like we've already had enough. It's fine. Like, you want a drink? Like, just come to my house or whatever. And then our bill comes back and we have to sign for it. And then my friend looks up at me and she was like, hey, should we like tip him separately or should we like tip him with our waitress and tell her or what? And I was like, so, you know, we're trying to decide and we both look over there at the bar and Tony is behind the bar talking to some people that are there with drinks. And all of a sudden, right behind him walks a tall ass blonde. She literally looks right over at our table. Like it was like so, like y'all, it was definitely, she knew. She fucking knew. And I think that somebody that was working that night that saw Tony giving us like free drinks and coming to our table and stuff told on him. But it turned out that old boy's wife worked there too. And she was a bartender there too. And I don't know if she arrived later on in the shift. I don't know. But once she arrived, there were no more free drinks to be had. And Tony had nothing else to say. And I had to look at my friend and I was like, shut the fuck up. That's his wife. Oh my God, they fucking work together. And I was like, I guess, bitch. I was like, we need to leave. Because yeah, she was like looking dead ass at our table like, I needed to get out of there because I had already been drinking. And like, I get it that you're upset. But honestly, like, that's not my man. And that's your husband offering free drinks. And if we want to accept it, like, that's on us completely. But like, we're not the ones offering the free drinks. Like, don't try to fucking start a problem with our table and like myself and my friend because your husband is being fucking shady. I could feel myself getting, you know, a little bit rustled up. Like, why you looking over here like that? Audacity to even like try to look over here like we're the problem. No, bitch. Like, your man has been the problem since I arrived at a field trip. So maybe you should get a hold of that. But that probably explains why they work together because she probably had to keep a close eye on him considering. So after that, it was definitely hella awkward at other parent-teacher conferences and like events and stuff where all the parents would show up because she definitely knew my face. I don't know if he told her that, you know, I was a kid's parent at the school. I don't know. But she was one of a few different girls at Julian's old school that didn't fucking like me. So if you guys want to hear some more stories about like momming at school and having like other parents around you and like what that was like, definitely give this video a like. Let me know down below. But that was my story about the awkward field trip dad, okay? And I know I'm not the only one that has experienced this, but let me know your experience going on field trips. Have you ever met some weird, crazy parents? Have you ever been hit on by another parent? Let me know, okay? Like, spill all the fucking tea. Thank you guys so much for being here for today's video. I love you, and I will see your fine ass in my next video. Peace out, y'all.